Today, we're gonna learn how to improvise without using any scale. Are you ready? That was kind of a dramatic entrance. So I'm Jack if you don't know me. This channel is all about helping you elevate your guitar playing. I'm pretty sure you're excited to know how to solo or improvise without learning any scale or having any theory knowledge. I know I would. Before we start, I'm gonna give you a small story. You gotta bear with me because this is really important. And don't forget to stay till the end because I always give a secret tip. There's nothing secret, guys, right? But I give you kind of a power tip that will help you get everything together, that will help you connect the dots. When I first started playing guitar and when I first started jamming with my friends around 14 or 15, I always used to play the written parts. Why? Because I didn't know how to improvise. Why? Because my teacher never told me or never taught me at the time how to improvise. I used to learn classical guitar, etudes and things I didn't like, whereas my friends had teachers that would give them pentatonic scales, major, minor scales, so they knew what they had to do whenever we were jamming together. I, on the other hand, was totally clueless. So I started thinking to myself, what could I do? And at the time, there was no YouTube. It was different. It wasn't like right now you could just hop on Google or YouTube and you could find practically whatever you want. Yeah, I'm pretty old, I know I don't show it, but I am. Anyway, let's stick to the story. So what I decided to do is to, try to find a system to help me improvise. And what I started doing is whenever we were playing, for instance, a chord progression, or even if we were playing power chords, or whatever that is, I used to try to look at their fingers and try to figure out what they were playing, but as a beginner as I was, I couldn't really tell what they were playing. So I decided to build a system for myself. And the idea came up where I was like, all right, so we're playing a G chord. What can I play with a G chord? Because when we used to play together, one of us would play the bar chord here or the open chord, and the other guitarist would play the other bar chord, which is found over here on fret number 10. So with this G chord, I can actually play another G chord, but somewhere else on the neck. I decided to actually play a G chord whenever we were playing a G chord. And what are the notes of a G chord? The notes are G, B, and D. So I would take this shape, this G bar chord shape, and I would just play the notes inside that shape. I would go. And whenever we changed chords, I would do the exact same thing, but this time with a new chord. So if we switched to A, I would do the same thing. I would just look at the notes and try to play those exact same notes. I hope you're starting to see where I'm going with that. And guess what? By the time I started doing that consistently, even though my solos sounded more, intentional, but they sounded better because they were more melodic. The other guys were just ripping the scales up and down and it would sound cliche. But I had decisions to make. Every single time I played a note, I thought about what should the next note be. And since I had fewer notes to play, I really needed to work on my phrasing. And that's how I developed the system, where every single time I have a chord, I'm only going to play the notes of that chord. If you want a more fancy term, it's called chord tones. A lot of you might know that already. So here's the thing. Let's consider we have a backing track going from G major to A major. And again, we have zero knowledge. What we need to do is whenever we play the G chord, we want to play the G notes, which are G, B, and D. And whenever we had the A chord, A, C sharp, and E. And what I would try to do after a while is try to play each chord's chord tone over the other chord to see if they fit or not. And it would sound good. And at a later stage, while improvising, I will come up with this scale that contains all these notes. And that's what we need to do. What we need to do is superimpose those notes all together. So if you look at a diagram and if we put them together, I get the following scale. And now I'm going to show you how I'm going to play over those chord changes. So here we have a backing track that switches between the G chord and the A chord. And step one, like I said, is to just play the notes of each chord on that chord. So the notes of G over the G chord, and then the notes of the A chord, A, C sharp, E over A. There we go. And I just want to stick to that area of the neck. I don't want to move out of it. So it gets boring after a while, and like I said, step number 2 or 3, I don't remember, is to build this system of a scale. We don't know what that scale is, but we're just going to build this system, and we're going to call it the scale of G and A that we're going to play over both chords, over the whole progression. Okay, so until now I've been trying to avoid playing the F or the F sharp because we're not really sure what note we should play. But your ear will tell you that F sharp works better, you know, works best. I could try the F, it clashes a little bit. So that's why F sharp works better. And we can add it, and that way we'll have a 7-note scale. Until that point, we only had a hexatonic scale of 6 notes. And we could start at this stage experimenting with those notes. Okay, that's cool. And when you start getting very familiar with the shape over here in that area of the fretboard, we can start moving out of it. See guys, so this is really easy stuff. So I hope this will help you. But guess what? Here comes the pro tip. Are you ready? Let's do that. All right, for the secret tip or the pro tip, as I like to call it, well, guess what? You can actually do that over any chord progression. And these chords don't have to be in the same key. Like we were lucky here, the G and the A chord were in the key of D major. But what if I'm playing a G chord, for example, and then I'm playing a C sharp minor chord? You know, like they don't fit together. Well, guess what? We do the same thing. Now you can play over any modulation, and all you need is your ears and your eyes in order to improvise. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Since you're here, and I'm pretty sure you want to watch a couple more videos, then I advise you to watch this one over here. It's a really good one. I prepared it just for you. Hopefully, I'll see you in that other video. But until then, practice well and take care.